Okay. Hello, hello. Hello, Ian. This orange did not peel very well. It kind of just broke apart. That's a little sad. Now I don't have like one long orange peel that I can eat. Just kind of have these little sections now. That's unfortunate. Oh. This orange kind of tastes terrible. That's unfortunate. Oh well. That's what we're gonna have to work with, I guess. Here, I will grab chat so I can actually see it and read it. There we go. Hello, Dragos. Right. There, now I don't have to like look 50 feet away to see chat as I squint. Okay. Yeah, this orange is like almost, it's almost bitter. Has a bite to it. Don't really like that. That's unfortunate. Okay, where were we? Adodo. Okay, we're at day 21. 2 folks are dead. That is unfortunate. Do we care about these, lad? Well, we care about one of them, right? We care that Tyson died. I don't know about that other one, though. You know how it is. Hello, David. Oh. Okay. We do care about Orlando. Okay, Chase. Okay. Osman isn't crossed? That's in G. We have to get to G era first before we do that. The worst era, that's not true. But that's fine. Just let me get a drink real quick. Oh, Ian, you were right. Okay. What was the last thing we did? I remember we had that like really nice dream sequence with David and Jack, you know? So that's good. You know, it is what it is. I head back inside without giving him any more of my time, taking my search for the others into the dining room. At first, I didn't think anyone was here until I noticed someone slumped on the ground by the window. On the ground? Okay. Okay. Roswell? You're awake. Where is everyone? Probably upstairs, resting. Why was I left downstairs? You didn't look comfortable, but you went down to the vault for a reason, so we decided that maybe it was best to let you sleep. Really? Well, yeah. Oh, that's why Sal went and got you the pillow and blanket. Oh, so it was Sally boy. Okay. I see. Are you feeling okay? You look out of it. What do you think? He went to reply and nodded slowly, playing with his hands. Right. Sorry. Why are you on the floor? I'm keeping watch. We've been taking it in turns. When is it my turn? If you're up to it, you can start next if you want, but... I sat down on the floor next to Roswell, offering him the pillow while I clutched the blanket closer to me. Sure, I'll keep watch. Do you want coffee? No thanks. Breakfast? Not hungry. I said nodded correctly. I did it. Ian, you can't. No, I did it good this time, I think. Did I say it correctly? I hope I did. That would be embarrassing if I didn't. Well, alright. Roswell, can I ask you something? Of course. Not that it stopped you already. His little jab made me smirk. What do you think is going to happen? Presumably the visitor Thanatos mentioned, right? Speaking of, what happened with that? How did you all... learn to talk? Learn he can talk? Yeah. He breathed in, nodding slowly. When you came rushing downstairs, it was shortly after Thanatos appeared. We'd only exchanged a few words before. Well, you went rushing outside. The rest of us only had a few seconds to listen to him explaining things. Oh, excuse me. Explain things before we followed you. How much did you tell him? Wait, how much did he tell you? He kept the details vague. Or maybe not vague, but it just gave us the gist of what was about to happen. And sure enough, it did. Remember, we had seconds to get out of there. to get out of there before you would have disappeared into the woods. Where is he now? I haven't seen him today. Have you seen anyone else? I tagged out with Haas earlier, because he was barely keeping it together. You caught me, just really exhausted staying up for so long. Then how are you keeping it together? Shock, probably. Everything happened so fast and now. Orlando and Tyson are dead. Not that I was going to say, but yes. What were you going to say? The problem as to who the culprit is. Our options are limited, and none of the options are even good. If you had to guess, who would you pick? I've been trying to guess or think. Not to guess or think. Throwing out any accusations seems wrong. Or, at the very least, not good for the group's morale. I grunted, leaning back. You're probably right. You haven't been thinking about it, have you? I just want to know who killed my brother, who killed my best friend, and if I'm being honest, I don't even really have much of a stake in who killed Oswin, but it had to have been someone, right? All right, they did say Oswin died, but it wasn't on screen, so I don't believe it. I don't believe that he's dead, and he's not crossed out in the save menu, so he's still alive in my book. Right. He continued first by nodding slowly, before scratching his chin. I guess there's nothing much we can do without a motive. Standing slowly, I shrugged off the blanket and wandered towards the kitchen. Where are you going? I just need to see him. Roswell was on my heels soon after I entered the kitchen, catching me only after I'd reached the freezer. Dave, you don't need to do this. I do, Roswell. The next thing I did was open the door and found myself shivering as the cold air hit me. As I stepped inside, Roswell lingered behind, just watching as I made my way to the back to where on the ground were two distinct black bags. One was misshaped and further back, enough to tell me who was in it. My attention was on the other, and I knelt down to the floor before unzipping it. Ah, even Dave is just shrugging off Orlando. I see. There he was, Tyson. If not for the hole in his head, he'd just look like he was asleep. Although as my eyes trailed downwards, the amount of blood splattered across his front made it impossible to convince myself of that. I breathed out, and my body rattled as I continued to had it confirmed for me. Already I could feel the tears welling up, threatening to freeze on my face unless I got out of there. Barely having zipped the bag back up, I continued back into the kitchen. I broke down crying again, closing the door and slumped back against it. Dave. Roswell had been lingering nearby and shuffled easily on the spot. Uneasily. What are you going to do now? I don't know. Did that help at least? He's really gone. They both are. I couldn't even bring myself to check the other bag. I just... Wiping my face, I looked to Roswell, who seemed deep in thought. Is there a common line between Orlando, Tyson, and Oswin? Something we don't know about. Why does that matter? Motive, Dave. Who would want all three of them dead, other than me? And also, why was Orlando even outside? It just seemed odd to me that Orlando would go outside after knowing what's in the woods. Was he lured out there? Was he chased out there by Tyson? It could have been any of us. So why Orlando? Yeah, I don't know. Even Tyson is an odd choice, if you think about it. If you say so. Should I stop? He's dead, Roswell. My brother is dead. You're talking about him, so what I mean is that... I'm sorry. I'll stop. I want to know... Yeah, I want to know who did it. But just, I don't think I can think of anything else outside of how much this hurts. At this rate, I might even just get Thanatos to knock me out again. That's always a fun time. I wouldn't recommend it. I must have gotten too close to him whenever he did. Whatever he did to knock you out, knocked me out too, and gave me this horrible nightmare. He gave me another one last night, right outside the vault door. How bad was it? Not the best, just confusing. Dad was alive, Osmond was alive, but... But? Everyone else was... Then I was... You were the only one left alive. Yeah, but it can't be real because Osmond was there, practicing medicine and everything. I wonder. What? What are the chances that what you experienced was instead a memory? That's what I've been starting to think it was. Some crazy memory of the past life or whatever Thanatos made me remember. Roswell seemed to look around the room quickly, rushing over to the stove and sighing after checking it for something. What did you see when Thanatos knocked you out? A fire. A massive fire that consumed everyone, and I was the last one alive. That happened in mine too. The fire, I mean. What he showed me didn't give me how the fire started, but I was there when it happened. Then, after that, was the aftermath. I nodded slowly, trying to calm myself down to to get the crying under control. Are you sure asking Thanatos for that again is a good idea, all things considered? It's just a question of if it's better than being awake, isn't it? You're brave to take that gamble, or maybe just reckless given what's going on. All I know is I don't want to be around for the next time he does that to someone. Breathing out, Roswell looked to the door. Speaking of though, are you sure you want the next shift? I really wouldn't mind trying to get some sleep and, well... Yeah, sure. Sorry, Dave. I just don't know how to help. It's fine. Go sleep. I just need some time to process this. He didn't seem convinced, but the fact that he looked like he was falling asleep while standing seemed to convince me to trust I was telling the truth. Once he was gone, I stood up and rested my chin against the kitchen counter, wondering if I should try eating something, but my appetite was shot, not that I was surprised. I forced down a glass of water and went back to the foyer, dropping myself onto the stairs to face the front door. From where I was, I could probably keep an eye on the back door as well, but I figured here was a good space to keep watch. Benson came back inside at some point and wandered away, paying me little mind. Not that I was in any particular headspace to say anything to him anyway. What was I even watching out for? Danger? The variable person that Thanatos had spoken about? I scoffed at the idea of hoping that it'd actually be something to finally trip me over the edge, and and I could stop thinking. I closed my eyes and waited. I wasn't tired. I wasn't going to fall asleep, but sitting in the dark seemed better than staring at the door. Running through my mind were memories of the past few days, how things had seemingly been improving, but now it's all fallen apart. My eyes flew open when I heard it, staring at the door to make sure I hadn't imagined it. Had someone knocked? Had someone knocked? As if answering my question, they did so again, and I got up to march towards the door. The rational thing would be to not answer, to alert the others, but in the moment, I just don't care. I had my hand on the doorknob and opened. Ah, hello. Okay. On the other side of the door was a bear, tall and imposing. He must have assumed someone taller was going to answer the door, so his eyes notably dropped to mine. Ah, hello, Maestro.
You're not Hammond.
Sorry?
Don't worry about it. Can I come in?
He didn't bother waiting for me to say otherwise. Instead, just pushing me aside and stepping into the foyer. Who are you? He seemed to consider the question briefly before giving me a curt nod.
Dom.
Dom?
What?
Nothing, just you were looking for someone, or... He seemed to watch me carefully, almost curious.
Something like that. You've got a rat problem.
Okay. I followed Dom's gaze over to the stairs where Thanatos was standing. He didn't seem to give much away from his expression, just seemingly watching how things were playing out. He's a pet. Another grunt was all that came out from that, before I realized something. How did you get here anyway? The road's gone.
More than one way to get up a mountain, kid.
You climbed?
Not this time.
What does that mean?
All right, that's enough of that. The rat talks.
He's special.
Real quick, you might want to cover your ears, Junior.
Wait, why? Before I could get another word out, a gunshot rang out through the house, and Dom collapsed. He fell hard to the floor. The telltale hole right through his eyes indicate what had happened. You know, that was that's different. You know? I was expecting a nice, friendly, wholesome dialogue exchange with a Dom, but you know. Benson do be just going for it this time around, doesn't he? My ears were ringing, but I managed to make out Benson walking down the stairs as he put his gun away. He said nothing, wandering over to the large bear now sprawled out on the floor, and shook his head.
Dead. You did shoot him in the head.
What did you do that for?
Did you care to wonder who this bear was? Where he came from, perhaps?
He was about to tell me about another way off the mountain.
And what good reason do you have to believe anything that bear would have told you?
He didn't kill me on the spot, for starters. He might have been able to help.
Or lead you to that rabbit. Made worse by you inviting him into the damn house.
The others started scrambling down the stairs then, taking in the scene before them. Dean led the... excuse me, just taking a drink real quick. Dean led the charge down the stairs, and the three of them stopped shy of stepping off the stairs.
What happened?
Everyone seemed to look down at the bear on the ground, blood starting to pool on the floor around his head.
Who is that?
Where did he come from? Where's Hoss? That's the question on everyone's mind. Where's Hoss?
Upstairs. It didn't take too well to hearing a gunshot.
I nodded slowly as Roswell wandered from behind Dean past Benson towards Dom. Does anyone recognize him? Silence. Roswell examined the body more before standing up and shaking his head. No wallet or anything on him either. Damn. Can't steal his money. I managed to get a name out of him at least.
That's a start. What was it?
Dominic. His name is Dominic, or Dom for short, I guess. Haas appeared at the top of the stairs, peeking out from around the corner. Each step he took was cautious until he had taken up Roswell's spot behind Dean. He's dead, right? He was shot? Yeah, Benson shot him. We all look over his way, but he seemed to have his attention elsewhere. How did you know? He's been here before, with me. He was on set, I mean. Well, with Dom dead, that's going to limit our options moving forward. What do you mean? Oi, Dean, flip him over. Who? The other bear, obviously. And Dean did as he was asked and flinched once Dom was on his side. He didn't even seem to worry about the blood on his hands. Find it. How did you know this was here? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've seen him walk in here a whole bunch of times already. Dean pulled out something that had seemed to be tucked into Dom's waistband, standing now with a gun in hand. Okay. Haas started to shake and backed off to be behind Sal now, watching things unfold. One more weapon that we're going to need. Need? Against what? You think no one's going to come looking for him? What? This guy is this guy is with the guys in the woods? I'll let you figure that one out. We've answered the who, but not the where. As Roswell asked, I would like to know where he came from. Well, the woods, right? Maybe. What do you mean? He mentioned there were other ways up the mountain. You know, or right before you butted in. Can't have you damaging your ears now, can we? If there's another way up the mountain, that would mean that same avenue can be used to get down, right? Stands to reason. Unless he jumped from a plane, most avenues can be taken up a mountain, can be used to head down. So, there's a walking track. No way to find out without heading into the woods and searching. Which, given this guy had a gun, well, it's not safe. Right. I don't know what's worse, knowing there's a way off the mountain, or that the way out is going to get us killed. On that note, what are you thinking, letting him inside like that? I don't know. He pushed his way in. Probably could have just bashed the door down if he wanted to. Still, you put everyone at risk doing that. Yeah, well, Dave's not in his right mind right now. I was just on autopilot. I guess there's nothing we can do about it. But what are we going to do about, Once more, we all looked to Dom's body. Before maybe it was the shock of watching it unfold, but somehow it didn't feel as bad as seeing someone I knew die. The feeling started to settle in my stomach the more I thought about it, and I turned away to cover my nose, certain that if I caught a whiff of blood, it'd be over. Well, we can't leave him here. Yeah, into the freezer then. Will he fit? Can't we just dump him outside? And run any number of risks, exposing his body like that. The freezer isn't a great idea either, though. It's not that big to just start piling bodies in there. Yeah, stack them. No one else is going to die, Haas. I didn't even believe myself as I said it, finding that my eyes were glued to the floor rather than making eye contact with anyone. The others seemed to feel the same, as much as we all hoped that'd be the case. Dean, Sal, may I get some assistance in moving the body? Even just off to the side for now. Wordlessly, the three of them picked Dom up and started guiding him off to the side, blood dripping and marking the path they followed. Make a dead body sandwich, right? Also, hello, Xanax. Hey, Haas?
Yeah.
You said that he'd be here before with you, on set. What else do you know about him?
Seemed harmless enough. It didn't say much. Pretty placid unless you rubbed him the wrong way or got him excited. I remember one of the cameras breaking because he'd been worked up after some good news. That sounds dangerous.
Oh, so he's an excited lad. What? Oh no. 'Cause he gets to be an excited boy. Big old Dom Happy Bear. He's not the most dangerous. It just has his natural bulk and strength. But beyond that, nothing. Ah, hello, Twig. Thanatos, when you say he's not the most dangerous, what is?
You mean who? You don't think he's in league with the rabbit in the woods, huh?
Who else could who else could he be with if the road is gone? Plus, if there's any talk of danger, that's just the most logical conclusion, surely.
Well, if he is, it'd be news to me. Nothing like that seems to be the case on set, but it's not exactly something that came up in conversation.
You're forgetting the best part. No. Oh no?
Oh crap. What's going to happen when Dom doesn't head back?
This is bad. We're still in a time where things are up in the air, and too many variables to really control.
What happened to having seen this multiple times?
Stuff that happens outside the mansion I have no control over. You know what my functioning range is.
So, you're just meant to wait until the next thing happens?
Unless you plan on taking the fight to them, correct? Which is a terrible idea. We don't know how many more are out there shy of a rabbit and probably Mensis Noble.
A homicidal rabbit and a dragon. Just great. Just how bad is Memphis compared to Jack? Bad.
Dean and Sal wandered in. Sal stepping forward while Benson seemed to wander away somewhere. Dean remained by the door of the room that left the body in, staring at his hands for the time being. Oh, Dean.
Orlando was lovely. Imagine if Orlando was taller than me, stronger than me, meaner than Tyson at his absolute worst, and did it all for fun.
Mensa sounds like a good time.
He sounds awful. He is awful. Compared to his son, Mensis is a person that would make anyone cower, and rightfully so. If he's in the woods, the amount of danger we're in has skyrocketed.
Has skyrocketed, probably. Yeah, I have an idea. Not a great one, and pale is in comparison to something that we know that will work.
Are you talking about firearms?
Would guns not work?
Let's just say he's boasted about being shot more than once, and came away relatively unscathed.
Well, nuts.
What's your other idea?
That's... Roswell looked at Thanatos, standing quietly nearby. They made eye contact, but briefly, before Roswell looked back to Sal. What about poison?
I don't think poison would work. You'd have to get into his system somehow, and even then, who knows how long it'd take.
Then... Roswell then looked to me, back to Thanatos, and mumbled out his next words carefully. Oh, all right, Maestro. See ya. Maybe Thanatos can do what he did to us and just knock him out? Mensis? Oh, okay. Did I make that mistake? Am I slurring, like, names like I always do? Excuse me? I mean, it could work, right? I don't think you could guard against something like that, but the bigger problem would be anyone in the vicinity. I.
Given the very real possibility that he has a gun, I don't think you'd get much of a chance without being shot, Roswell.
Oh, I wasn't suggesting that I do it, but I suppose I am the best choice.
And if it doesn't work, then we not only lose Roswell.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh no.
But have a pissed off dragon with a gun, plus whoever else he'd brought along. I don't think I like the prospect of, well, that, among other things.
What else then?
Would happen. When what's just happened settles, I imagine if anything like last time, we're going to be too distracted by our own thoughts to do much to fight off anyone. There's a very real chance they're better equipped and better equipped and used to using a gun than we are.
With the exception of Benson.
How do we know he's not in on it? He killed Tyson, chose not to get out of there sooner to save Orlando, killed Dom before we could find out a way off the mountain, he knew. Take a deep breath, Dave.
He let Orlando die, Sal. How are you not angry? I love how Benson is just like the villain and a bunch of these like not Route A type things. Like, I love Benson and Route B. That shit's so funny. He let Orlando. Yeah, okay. The moment I saw Sal cower, I felt bad, if only just a little. I felt I just ran mentally into a brick wall. He wandered away to talk to Dean, the two of them disappearing soon after out of sight. What are you planning to do now?
Do we have the options?
If anything, I feel like we should be preparing for something to happen, right?
Go prepare then.
Any advice? I had my eyes trained on Thanatos and couldn't shake the feeling I held right after Tyson had been shot. I still wanted to tear into him. I still blamed him for everything that happened to us. Oi! There was nothing I had to say, and not anymore. He wasn't even thrashing in my hand, and just letting whatever was happening to him happen.
Dave, what are you doing?
Nothing. I watched as Thanatos relaxed in my hand, gotten over the initial shock of being grabbed. Every problem we have right now is because of you. Dave?
So what?
People are dying because of you. You could have chosen to save Tyson by telling me the password. You could have saved Orlando by telling him from stopping him from going outside. You could have saved Dom by warning us who it was. My grip tightens, and Thanatos seems to register it. And not that he made any comment, but I felt Roswell step forward and put a hand on my arm. I don't think...
Let him get it. Let him get it out. I hate you. I hate you so much.
I could feel the tears already starting to well up in my eyes.
You hate me. After every other time you saved your friends, you hate me now. Couldn't have done any of that without me.
My grip tightened further, but he didn't budge. The metal inside him was hard, and I could feel it pressing back against my hand, starting to hurt.
Hey, Master.
My eyes opened wide, and I look around the room. Thanatos' gaze just went to the ceiling as he shook his head.
We're gonna have to try something else next time.
Something hit my ears, hard, and I crumpled, but not as hard as Roswell did on the ground. Caught by a no one, Haas immediately fell to a knee, clutching his head. My grip on Thanatos loosened slightly, but tight enough to still keep him pinned.
Good night, David.
Whatever hit me the first time, hit again, and it was enough to knock me out. I barely felt Thanatos leap out of my hand before I slipped away. The ground was hard and cold underneath me, the smell of blood flooding my nose. As I opened my eyes, I looked around, and no one was around. Hello? I could still smell blood, but there wasn't any within eyesight. Another memory. Dom's body being dragged through the foyer should have left a trail. You doing okay? I just slipped, that's all. Jeez, be more careful. Once again, I felt not in control of my body, but I could feel the corners of my mouth curl up in an embarrassed smile. Did you want to come on a walk? Figured I'd go look at the views from the main road. Cool. I'd be dead weight. Don't work that far out. So even if I held you up to look around, you wouldn't see? More worried you'd accidentally drop me off the side of the mountain. Yeah, that makes sense. Why not take one of the others? It's early. I'll let them sleep. Sal and Haas are already up and about. Yeah, but they're doing their own thing. You know you're handling this very well. Handling what well? There was a genuine confusion from the both of us, it seemed. Last time that there was talk of a fire, but this seemed to be something else. You know what? Never mind. What happened? What's happening here? Junior here fell down and is still intent on going for a walk. Dave, that's not exactly the best idea. Why not? I'm fine. I just want to go look at the view from the road. You could always go with him. Pardon. When was the last time you got out of the house? Might also be nice to have a doctor around in case he falls again. Did you want to come, Oz? Please, it's Oswin. We've been over this. Okay, did you want to come, Oswin? If it's just a slow walk, then alright. If only to get my mandated exercise in. He has mandated exercise? Do you think Benny Boy yells at him to get on the fucking treadmill? After some additional grumbling, we headed outside. Oswin closed the door behind him. Come on, you better not be too slow. We started off at an alright pace, but it was clear that Oswin didn't exercise much. Not that I was much better, it seemed like. Where are we then? Are we there yet? I'd stopped and Oswin continued lazily strolling forward past me. Almost there. Are you tired? Yes. Would you rather stop or keep going? If, we're almost there, we may as well keep going. The mountains opened up before us as we stepped out from the driveway and onto the main road, and I wandered closer to the edge of to the edge to look over. Oswin lingered closer to the end of the hallway to watch. Of the hallway? The hallway. Sir, this is a road. That's probably fine. Don't fall. I'm not going to fall. The air was crisp and fresh. Once again, I felt that smile on my face. It must be great living out this way, huh? It has its perks. Such as? Well, for starters, your mother is less inclined to travel all the way out here to tell me how to do my job, given how far away it is. I shot him a look as he smirked upon seeing my reaction. In reality, I haven't rightly known anywhere else. I was raised here, tutored here, and really only left to get my qualifications. Ever thought about going to the beach? I've thought about it. And? I've been. Once. And? What did you think? It was fine. Man, Oswin's like me. I do things that other people think are exciting, and I'm just like, yeah, it was alright. Whatever. 7 out of 10. I guess I would do it again. Come on, the beach is great.
And yet you came here.
The mansion was something that brought us together, tore us apart, and to choose not to go through all of the ups and downs hard, it made me think that what would have happened if we did go to the beach instead. But before I could think too hard on it, my eyes opened again. Oh, Dom is back. Okay.
What the hell, man? I told you. I'm sorry.
What?
Back with us.
What happened?
You started eating marshmallows like a crazy person. And trust me, I know crazy.
Oh, I don't know. Dave getting into like a marshmallow coma. Someone should draw that. Not me. I'm too lazy.
I didn't expect you to try and beat Roswell's record. I was only joking.
Then what? I realized that I was soaking wet. Sitting beside Haas was a now empty jug.
Poor guy's soaked.
But it did wake him up.
Oh, Haas, so help me, you better find him a towel.
Fine, I'm going. Dom, keep him company. I was trying my best to watch the bear despite the body I was in seemingly having other ideas. Did he have to pour the whole thing on me?
Don't ask me. I would have done mouth to mouth.
Ooh. Okay. I think Dean would have gotten jealous if he did that.
Don't worry. You wouldn't be the only one in trouble.
What do you mean? I wanted this to stop. I don't want to experience past memories or hallucinations or anything beyond what was happening in my actual body. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. Everything that I was experiencing felt numbed, and I hated how I was starting to doubt which me was the real one. Sitting up suddenly, I looked around. The first thing I looked for was Thanatos, but saw nothing. No Roswell either. In fact, no one at all. Had they just left me here, or was this another memory? Guys, Thanatos? Flexing my fingers, it seemed like it was my own body, and I took the chance to stand up, supporting myself on the stairs. I looked across the floor to check for blood. Sure enough, drips of blood leading into a single room hinted that that's where Dom had been taken. There was no one around. I had to be sure. Dave? Roswell? He was on the ground looking at Dom, who was covered with a blanket. You know, gotta keep Dom warm, right? Or at least mostly was. It'd been folded back for the time being. What are you doing? Probably the same thing you're doing. What do you mean? Didn't you just... I wandered over and sat down next to him on the floor, trying not to look at the dead bear beside us. Memories again? Yeah. I'd only just come in here after making sure you were breathing. It hadn't seen anyone else yet. Ah, Michael, hello. You left me in the middle of the foyer? I wasn't sure where I was, and no idea where the others are either, or Thanatos for that matter. Imbro, hello. Some friends they are to leave us both like that. They might not have had a choice, plus, are we sure we're both, properly back? Roswell, you can't possibly be suggesting that this is some shared memory, is it? It could be, right? Assuming that things have been played out this way before, we could have had this conversation before and... He trailed off, shaking his head. It's kind of sad to think about, isn't it? Maybe having maybe lost Orlando once before, and this time it just... what I mean is... I don't want to talk about this. Orlando, Tyson, Oswin,
Dom. Two people that were our friends, and the other two I didn't even know at all. How many people are left that need to die before we can get off this mountain?
I don't know. I don't think there's any way to really know.
Dom hinted at another way off the mountain. At this point, I'm tempted to try climbing down from the main road, unless we find what way he took to get up.
If you took the main road, I doubt I'd be able to follow. If it's somewhere in the woods, then we might. Then we run any number of risks.
I'm enjoying Angie Dave.
He's very angry, you know.
As if we're any safer. Not with Benson shooting people. Anyone else could be next, or it could come out of nowhere. I did like one of those memories for, like, the marshmallow one with Dom. Dave seemed very happy there. And also Dom was there, and they were all having a good time. I can't wait till we get knocked out and we see a beach vacation with Jack included. That's what I'm waiting for. As if we're any safer here, yeah.
You're probably right, but I don't like the options.
Is it bad that I've wondered if it's, worth getting him before he gets us?
You want to kill Benson?
We did drug him and sell him in a different route, so, like, After what he did to Tyson, what he didn't do to save Orlando.
But you, Dave, actually want to kill Benson?
I just want revenge for the two of them. That's all.
Dave, getting off this mountain alive is what's going to help. Not, well, taking someone's life. What would Orlando think? What would Tyson think?
Tyson would think go do it. Before I could answer, I could feel someone watching us from the door. And turning to see who it was, Roswell followed the direction I had looked to.
Dean? What are you doing? Where are the others?
I should be asking you two the same question. Why'd you leave us unconscious in the middle of the foyer? What do you mean? I turned to Roswell, who looked just as confused.
You didn't know what happened in the foyer after you left with Sal?
I'm guessing you two fell asleep like last night. The rat did it. He made us pass out. Well, that's not good.
Why?
Last time I saw him, he was lingering around Haas, but Haas seemed kind of out of it.
Where are they now?
I jumped up, almost knocking Roswell over in the process. No regret. Dominic had gone forgotten, now worried about what Thanatos was up to. I saw them outside, from the window in the kitchen.
In the backyard.
Tearing out of the side room, I threw open the door to the back and immediately regretted it. I must have still been reeling. I must have been reeling from waking up as I collapsed soon after. Dave. Haas? Thanatos sauntered up to me as I was a heap just outside the door. Okay. Shaking his head.
He's fine.
Where is he? What did you do? He's role-playing you, Josh? What?
What? You know exactly what I did. Haas is just taking a little cat nap of his own to shake that headache I gave him.
But where?
He's alive, if that's what you're wondering.
He stepped out of the way as I made to grab him. He shook his head again.
He's in the middle of the hedge maze. Genius. But before you go running off, have you cooled off yet?
My second attempt at trying to grab him fell short, and he shook his head once more.
I'll take that as a no. Fine then. When you have, I'll come find you.
I don't want to see you.
But why? You will later, Junior. Thanatos scurried back inside, skirting around me before I could block his path.
Are you alright?
Give us a bit of
Gave us a bit of a fright rushing out like that.
I didn't have a response for them, but my mouth was curled in a crooked grin. Tears were welling up in the corners of my eyes, and the moment I started to laugh, the dam burst. It was the hyena laugh that almost sounded mad, the throaty kind of cackle bordering on a wheeze.
Dave?
He had his hands on my back, gently rubbing in circles.
Is there something we could do?
I don't think there's anything we can do, is there? I'm barely holding it together as it is. Sal had his hands on me next, and I was lifted from my spot on the ground and hoisted over his shoulders.
Come on, Dave.
No. They're just gonna throw me on a bed. We wandered inside, although Dean lingered out of the back as Roswell followed sluggishly behind. Sal lay me down on my bed carefully, and the laughing started to finally die down. I could feel my face scrunching up tight in pain, instead trying to cry more.
What happened?
It's hard to explain. Hoss? Hedge maze? While wiping my eyes, I managed to see them look at one another before Sal made to leave. I can't do this anymore.
Dave.
It's alright, Sal. I'll stay with him. Go find Hoss. Roswell sat on the floor, leaning his back against the side table. What if this route ended with Dave going full yandere? Let's go. Oh my god, that sounds amazing. Dave, are you there? I found myself starting to chuckle again. It was a weird feeling, knowing how wrong it was to be laughing to the point that it almost felt foreign, as if I was in one of those memories watching through the eyes of another me. Please don't break. My laughing died when I heard him starting to sob, and not that I said anything, remaining quiet as if I were just a husk of a hyena I'd been days before. Al, we need to keep it together. If we can't, then... He left it there, and sure enough, once the silence had hit, I'd passed out from exhaustion. Nicer than being forcibly put under by a rat for sure, but I worried at any moment I'd open my eyes and be another place I shouldn't be. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't thirsty. I felt weak but not tired. Exhausted, sure, but I didn't want to sleep. My body seemed to have other ideas, though. My head hurt. My chest hurt. There was a sensation running up my arms as I lay in bed. I couldn't quite describe, but it wasn't pleasant. In a daze, I thought about my friends. And not a dream as much as swimming in my thoughts. And nothing tangible as far as something to see. But just this feeling of longing for something I seemed unable to have. I wanted their safety. In the moment, it dawned on me that it was what I wanted most, above even my own. When I opened my eyes, it was dark. Roswell was gone, and the house was quiet once more. My head didn't hurt as much, instead replaced with a feeling of numbness, or maybe not numbness, but a feeling that I'd gotten used to. I didn't even bother checking how late it was, just that it was dark, that I was tired, and I wandered around looking for anyone. Heading towards the kitchen, I passed by the window that lined one of the walls to look out into the backyard. Finally awake, huh? And turning slowly, I spotted Thanatos on the table, watching me carefully. He said nothing else now that I had known he was there and waited for me to break the silence. Thanatos? You come looking for me? Always. Yeah? Find that hard to believe. Listen, I need to ask you something. Not going to try and pull my head off this time. No, I need
I heard you. You want to ask me something. Told you that next time you saw me, you'd be happy to see me.
I went quiet, looking back out the window.
I shouldn't need to tell you that. I knew this would happen.
Again, I didn't reply, opting instead to continue looking out the window.
Go on, ask. I haven't got all night.
You really do, though. You're not going to tell me who your master is. You're not going to help us unless it helps you.
Neither of those are questions.
What do I have to do to help?
There's the question. Less of this worrying about keeping everyone safe and alive stuff, and more about getting my job done.
Well?
Survive.
How?
Way I see it, you have two options.
Decide for me.
I can't. That's not how this works.
Because?
Every time you make a decision, you create a potential branch. One I can have a look down and see if that helps get me any closer to my end goal. If I chose all the time, I'd just end up stuck.
Okay. I don't get it. I also don't care.
So your choice. You can stay here and see what happens, or you can run away and keep yourself alive.
And the others?
Offer doesn't extend to them. You're the one we're talking about now. Take it or leave it.
You're saying I have to choose between escaping with my life or staying and potentially dying.
Not saying that at all. Just reminding you of your options. I don't know if you're safer here or out there, but it's up to you.
But the others?
Look, here's the deal. I've been down this path already, and it doesn't end great all most of the time. Oswin dead, so I'm out of luck for the most part. The more people you try taking with you, the harder it's going to be.
I gave him the side eye as tired as I was, but he seemed to not notice.
If you leave and end up dead, then I wouldn't know about it. That goes for anyone you take with you. Good luck convincing them to escape with you, though.
If I ask nicely, they'll go.
You're scared, Junior. Good luck getting them to move this time of night.
Even after Benson killed Dom, even knowing that whoever he was here with might come looking.
I'm just telling you how things are. If you don't believe me, that's on you. But you came seeking me out tonight, whether you were aware of it or not.
So that's that? It just comes down to staying or leaving?
Yup, leave or stay. You do whatever it is that keeps you alive, but there's nothing I'll offer you as far as passwords from this point on.
He stares at me and I stare back. When he didn't add anything else, I realize he was waiting for me to make my choice. You want me to choose now?
Good a time as any.
But...
No, decide. The sooner you do, the sooner I can put my processing power into finding a way out of this mess.
He shook his head, and it was enough to make me stop. It was decision time. Now without my friends, at least based on what Thanatos was getting at. No passwords. There was no reply. Instead, he straightened slightly and continued to stare. As I spoke, a tightness released itself from my chest. I breathed a sigh of relief, and Thanatos just nodded slowly.
You're sure?
Yeah, I'll go.
Get going, then.
Sorry, excuse me. Please go away. Okay, there we go. In a trance, I just started walking. I left the dining room and headed out the front door. I didn't even bother checking if I had my phone.
Each step I took forward reminded me just how tired I was. What was I going to do when I got to the main road? Each step I took forward reminding me just how tired I was. What was I going to do when I got to the main road? Would I be able to climb? Would I just fall? It didn't bother me as much as it should have. I just kept walking in the darkness, feeling the roughness of the driveway underneath my feet. It hurt, but even still, I couldn't bring myself to react to it. I was whining internally, mouth partly parted slightly as I breathed ragged breaths. Home. I was headed home. I stepped out into the open, the trees parting and the world opening up for me once again. It was the road. The air was cold. Underneath my fur, I could feel it nipping at me. With the moon peeking out from behind the clouds, the valley was lit up as I wandered towards the place where the road was no more. But I wasn't alone. I stopped in the middle of the road once I'd realized it, staring at the figure into looking into the gap left by the explosion. Oh, yes. Okay. My blood ran cold. A new kind of cold that made the night air as a warm blanket by comparison. He slowly turned to me, seeming something seemed off from the last time we'd met. I could tell something was wrong. But that didn't last long. Once he registered who he was looking at, that smile made its way on his face, the smile that set alarm bells in my head and my dick. Ah, it's you. The way he approached was almost too casual. He was relaxed, much like the first time we met. How how good to see you again. Dave, was it? A tremble as he reached out and put an arm around my shoulder. Oh, that's he's being so casual. I let out a sound from my mouth, somewhere between a whispered scream and a whine. Look, I'm looking for a buddy of mine. You think you might have seen him? Of course, Dom knew Jack. Of course, they were looking for him when he didn't come back their way. A big guy, a bear, doesn't smile all that much, doesn't say that much either. Sound familiar? I see. The thing is, after chasing you all the way to the house, my buddy Dom figured he'd do the next run. See if he can get you all to clear out before you get in the way, especially after hearing a gun going off late at night. But shucks, he never came back from his little walk. Have any idea why? I could see him hovering over the knife he kept with him. He hadn't drawn it yet, so maybe I could still get away. Maybe it wasn't too late to run. Ah, Panda, hello. I hate to go assuming the worst in people, you know. 'Cause I don't think there are many who can do worse than me. In a flash, he'd gotten his knife out, all while I was still wondering if I could get away. Quickly, he'd sunk it into my side, just leaving it there. My body screamed in pain, but Jack's hand over my mouth kept it kept it from the most part internal. As much as I wanted to cry out into the night to call for help, no one was coming this time. There would be no last minute rescue, and no chance of escape this time. Here's how I imagine it went down. Dom wandered up, knocked on the door, all peaceful like, and gets inside. Always tries to be polite, didn't he? He twisted the knife, clamping down harder on my muzzle. I began to cry and felt the strength start to leave my legs. But then that butler got in the way and shot him. Typical. Jack shook his head as he guided us closer to the gap in the road, step after painful step. Damned shame, too. I liked that bear.
He stopped just shy of the edge, and I looked down. While the moon had been out, I still couldn't see the bottom. Maybe it was how the trees down below looked like rolling waves of inky black clouds, but it seemed like a bottomless fall. I think I might go take a visit myself. Maybe bring the boss along now that the voice of reason has been dealt with. I'll probably have you to thank for that, huh? As he let go of my muzzle, I breathed in deep and groaned with pain from how my body reacted. In a flash, Jack had spun me around to face him, though. Oh, before I forget, I have one tiny thing to ask you before I get going. He wasn't gentle when he pulled the knife out. His shock that hit my system drowned out the immediate pain I felt, so that it could hit me all at once, to the point I could no longer scream. I felt flashes of hot and cold as I started to bleed out while on the road. Say hi to Dom for me. He lazily pushed me off the road. As I fell, I saw him turn away and start to walk, but after that, it was just black. Maybe I passed out soon after having the ground taken from underneath me. But I would not wake up again. Bad end. Dominic. Okay. Okay. Would you believe me if I said I chose leave hoping that I'd run into Jack? Simp. What? Like... It's all good. It's all good. There was a tightness in my chest as I looked at Thanatos, the single word leaving my mouth. You'd let Jack stab you, wouldn't you? Look. I wouldn't want to be stabbed by Jack. I feel like it would just kind of happen, though. Besides, I want to stab something into him, if you know what I mean. Alright. I can't leave my friends behind. Hardly surprising. Am I going to die? Probably. Thanatos. What do you want? I'm scared. What do you expect me to do about it? Knock you out again? I mean, you can. No, I don't think that'd help. Then what? You can tell me if all of this is worth it. What do you mean? You've seen this happen. Had all these talks. Know what's going to happen before I... No, excuse me. I even have thought about it. Is watching all of this suffering, worth it? This isn't a question for a machine. I guess not. Sorry. I turn to leave, but I hesitate before getting too far. What? If you had feelings and understood what we're going through, I just wonder if you'd be more willing to help. That's all. You have no idea. I left it at that and headed back to my room. Even after having had just woken up, I still feel exhausted. It's something I was happy for, if only because it meant I didn't have to worry about thinking. I decided to stay. A decision that seemed to sit the best with me, given I'd lost some friends already and didn't like the idea of abandoning the rest. But as much as I decided to stay, a big part of me wanted to leave, and to put this all behind me and escape. What would Dad do? What would Tyson and Orlando want me to do? I didn't have to wonder if, for too long, as I soon found myself drifting off, if a little worried about what was to come. Okay. It'd taken me some time to get settled, longer than I wanted it to, but when I finally When I finally down it, wait, when I finally down it, took me a while to realize, okay, I'm figuring out this sentence. We're getting there, guys. And not that I felt like I was falling or even floating, that I was just there. I slowly opened my eyes and I was lying on a sofa at home. My body felt like lead, but I sat up anyway. Hello? Silence. Nothing came in reply to my question, even as I craned my neck to look into the dining room. Instead of instead of the kitchen and the dining room table, the doorway just led to more darkness. Okay. Pulling myself to my feet was a struggle, and the moment I stood, I was falling. I could feel the wind rush past me. I could feel the cold. I could feel my stomach sinking faster than what I perceived myself to be falling. Almost painfully, I found myself on my stomach, the strength in my limbs sapped. Oh, Dave, you made it. You don't remember how you got here, did you? Did I get... My head was hurting, and my heart racing. If it wasn't for the fact everything around me started to blur, I would have thought I'd somehow found myself in the living nightmare. So tell me about Dom. What happened to him, I wonder? He's... The world caught in my throat, but this dream jack seemed to know where I was going with it. Dead? Well, that's a shame, 'cause you know, when my buddy doesn't come back, there's going to be some questions. He approached slowly, that smile starting to make its way on his face. And with questions comes answers. So how many questions do you think you can answer for me, Dave? I shut my eyes tight and tried to will the nightmare away. Surprisingly, it seemed to work. No. Not for too long, as I could feel the ground beneath me start to shift. Dave. Thanatos? Wake up. Where are you? I blinked, and he was there, seemingly materialized out of thin air. I said wake up. But why? Wake up. But I said. The moment I opened my eyes, I sat bolt upright. Yes. My heart was pounding in my chest, and from what little light was coming in from the window, I could tell it was early. As I breathed, I could feel it rattle up my throat and out of my mouth. Then on the way back down, it felt like I couldn't get enough air. For the next few minutes, I tried to catch my breath and ended up just feeling sick. Though I was awake and able to breathe even with the self-induced nausea. I went for my phone, rubbing my eyes. My flinch reaction was to message Tyson to get him coffee, but my fingers froze just above the screen. My body trembled as I realized I couldn't. The same applied for Orlando, and the sound that came out of my mouth after was somewhere between a squeak and a whine. It took me a while to get going, crawling over to the bathroom and having a shower, and the steam helped warm me up and regulate my breath, but deep down, I felt cold. I was shaken, worried that what I dreamed was just a premonition of what was going to happen. No one else seemed to be up, given how early it was. It was no wonder part of me considered checking in with the others, but I found myself drawn to the front door. I sat down on the stairs and stared at it, waiting, watching, and wondering if anyone was going to come knocking like Dom did. The smear of blood across the floor was still there, leading off down a hallway and out of sight. Dave. Oh, Sally boy. Okay. Sal's voice was quiet, almost whispered, but it made me jump all the same. I looked over my shoulder and watched as he sat down the stairs to sit beside me. Couldn't sleep. Not really. I get the impression the only one sleeping around soundly is Dean. Because? Sleeping medication. I caught him taking more than what I expected him to, as far as the tablets. He's taking a stronger dose?
I checked in on him this morning, and he's breathing. So at the very least, what stupid decision he made hasn't had any consequences yet.
At least he's getting sleep. I'm torn between wanting to sleep versus just staying awake to avoid nightmares.
Are they worse because of yesterday?
Yeah, I keep thinking about what's going to happen with Dom dead. I keep wondering if someone's going to come look for him. So I gesture to the door before I'm burying my face in my hands.
So, you're waiting for that person?
I don't know if I want someone to arrive or not. On one hand, if I'm expecting it, it's better than being caught off guard, but someone doesn't.
You're left wondering if anyone's going to arrive at all. That's messed up.
Haas quietly sat down next to me. The three of us looked at the front door. Is this the new main cast? Is this the new trio? I mean, if who's left, these are the ones I trust. Wait, where's my thing? I'm gonna eat this. Yeah. We nodded, and Haas continued.
Guess Dean's the only one then. Well,
I thought Haas died already. Q, come on. Give Haas a little bit of credit. Just a little bit. You've seen Roswell and Benson this morning.
Just Roswell. Checked in, and he was staring at the ceiling. He was awake, but with everything going on, he's not looking too great. For a few moments, I thought, well... Then Benson. No clue.
Thanatos?
The same. I hadn't seen him either yet. Guessing you haven't either, if you're both asking. That's right. And Dave was here, and I finished checking on Dean and just sat down.
Ah. What are we meant to do? Make breakfast? Sit and wait?
No, thank you. I don't feel like eating right now.
Same. Water, maybe, but later. Yeah, I feel like if I were to eat anything right now, it'd just, I made a show of hugging my middle, dropping my eyes to the floor. I hate this feeling. I feel so trapped. Haas placed his hand on my shoulder, and I flinched. Is there really nothing we can do except for wait?
Beyond arming ourselves, potentially. I wouldn't think so. Is it something that should be considered, nevertheless?
I look over to Benson, who was standing off to the side, his eyes sunken, but he followed our gaze across the front door.
There is every chance that you may need to fight for your lives after all.
I looked across to Haas, who had his face in his hands, his shoulders shaking as he seemed to start to cry. Sal, at the same time, seemed to deflate, shrinking into himself, while I just sat between them.
I can provide you each a gun, but little else. I could offer to shoot anyone new to arrive at the manor on site, but with a lack of sleep, I can't ensure a clean kill.
His offer went unanswered until Sal stood up slowly, wandering over to Benson.
Dean has Dominic's gun. I suppose I could take one too, if we're at this point then.
He left it there, and Benson nodded.
I'll give you Oswin's revolver. One less gun I'll need to fish out anyway.
Then he looked to me and Haas, shaking his head.
I'll need to think of something for Haas. But what of you, Dave?
I couldn't look at him. I kept seeing him and thinking right back to watching Tyson fall down dead in front of me. The thought made my stomach churn, and I groaned.
Benson must have taken this as a sign that I wasn't in a position to answer. I'll leave options open once, once the others have arisen. He wandered away, looking tired and distracted, leaving the three of us to ourselves. What should we do for now? Food? Sleep? Weapons? If Dean's sleeping medication was an option, I'd be tempted. That's Dean's. Not that it'd be a good idea to sleep right now anyway, in case something happens. That's true. Perhaps we should have some tea or coffee, or just something.
Make some pancakes.
Sure, tea works. Dave, tea for you as well.
Sure. I hadn't registered what Sal had asked me until after I'd answered, and I was too exhausted to question it.
I'll be back then.
He's just gonna get the tea and just sit there with the cup in his hands like, I don't want this. Haas and I watched him wander into the dining room and out of sight. I found myself leaning against Haas with a sigh. Hello? We both turned to look at Roswell, who joined us on the stairs. What? Did we... Are we?
You haven't missed anything. And we're just waiting.
For? Tea, I guess. But you're on the stairs.
It's just where we ended up. Sal went to the kitchen, so...
And what about Dean? Sleeping still, apparently. And, the hurried scrambling of feet on the tile alerted us to Thanatos' arrival before he spoke, and he looked at each of us in turn. What are you waiting for?
Tea?
Sal's making it. Thanatos turned to me, giving me that beady stare of his. What are you waiting for, Dave? I didn't answer, choosing to actively ignore him. No, don't ignore the boy. Oi, I'm talking to you. Hey, Haas, I'm going to give Sal a hand in the kitchen. I stood up slowly, made to leave, getting a few steps before Thanatos spoke up again. That's a shame. It was enough to get me to stop, but not enough to turn back to look at him. Figured you wouldn't leave me alone with Haas again after yesterday. Roswell is here too. Yeah, a lot of good that did, huh? What do you want, Thanatos? For you to answer the question, what are you waiting for? I don't know what I'm waiting for. Are we meant to be waiting for something? Nothing good. It's all just a matter of time. What? How much time? That depends on Junior here. It's up to me. Dave? How does it depend on me? You hear that? I think I can hear the hopping of a rabbit drawing near. My blood ran cold, and I mouthed Jack's name as I felt my chest tighten. That's what love feels like, Dave. You should know about this feeling. I gave you the choice last night. You chose to stay. And now you have to live with that decision. So that's it? We're just doomed? Evil? What? What?
No, I don't believe it.
So, what's it going to be, Dave? Stay or leave? I looked from Thanatos to the other two, mortified. Was he really offering the me the chance to leave again? The me? The me. I get it. Even after I'd chosen to stay?
Dave?
If Thanatos can hear Jack coming, can we buy ourselves time? Is there anything we can do? But Dean's asleep. If we left, that means 1 hour. Jack will arrive in 1 hour.
That's not a lot of time. You can drag Dean out of bed in an hour. Like, come on, guys. Your only saving grace is that he's been up all night, so chances are he's a bit sluggish.
If we stay, we can hide.
It's an option. We can hide in the secret passage. They won't know to look for the library. Assuming Dom didn't tell them anyone that it existed. Then we lock ourselves in a room and stay quiet.
Which is a problem if they come looking for who killed Dom. More so once they find his body.
Roswell pointed to the blood smear on the ground, and I nodded slowly. And finding it would be easy the moment you walked in the door. There has to be somewhere. I looked at Thanatos, wondering what options were still available to us. The pool? The greenhouse?
The hedge maze!
Would that work?
If we're inside the house, yeah, we'll get found. We'll also be trapping ourselves in case anything were to happen.
But couldn't they just find us outside?
What are the odds? Jack looking around the house to find Dom, and upon finding his body, try and look for us in the hedge maze.
I suppose. It's a good plan as any. But we still have Dean to worry about. If he's not awake in the next hour, then God, just push him out of the bed. Like, if it's a choice between leaving him or dragging his ass out of bed, I'll gladly get Sal on board.
I don't think you'll need to do much convincing. The bigger problem is going to be Benson, really.
Why Benson?
He had little problem dispatching Dom, but should he fail in dealing with Jack?
You think he could?
The stress of everyone going on would get to anyone. If he's anything less than his best, Jack getting the jump on him is possible.
As if there wasn't enough to worry about. At least Benson is sorting out weapons for us, should we need them. Roswell groaned, clutching his chest. Soon after, he began coughing, causing Haas and I to look at one another. Not doing anything, mind you, just looking at each other. Because why would we jump in to help? Roswell.
I'm okay, really,
He wipes his tears, shaking his head.
It could just be a cough. It could be, well, you know.
Again, Haas and I shared a look before turning back to Roswell concerned. If Roswell's only going to get worse, maybe hiding outside isn't such a great idea. If he has another coughing fit while we're outside, someone hears.
I agree. So, if I need to stay, if I need to, I'll stay inside.
Jack will kill you if he finds you.
You don't know that.
I gave him a look, briefly frowning towards Haas for him to say something, given I was at a loss of and was resorting just to my facial expressions. If he sees Dom's body and goes nuts, you think he's going to just ignore you if you get discovered?
I can hide somewhere.
The library, maybe. Assuming Jack does that thorough of a search. But if Dom told Jack about it... Haas huffed out. We're wasting time. We need to get the others on what's happening.
Thanatos, you've been pretty quiet this whole time.
What about it?
Do you have anything to add? Anything to say or do or...
Help?
Yeah?
Let me think. You're not going to like it, but today doesn't go so well most times.
Meaning?
You know what I mean. It's just a matter of choosing who.
When and where?
To confirm, you're asking where you need to be and when to be the one sacrificed.
If it has to be someone, it should be me. There's no sense in denying that, given my health, I'll be the biggest liability in the group.
Roswell, that's messed up, but incredibly smart. You should do that. Sacrifice yourself, so that no one else has to. You're gonna die in a week anyway.
It's not messed up, it's the truth. The cold hard truth that if we're looking to maximize the amount of lives saved from this point on, me dying in place of someone else makes sense given I don't have much time left as it is. He shook his head, looking to me briefly. Dave, you understand, right? You'd do the same thing in my shoes, after all. I was a little taken aback by the question, but awkwardly stood there scratching my arm instead of answering the question. This Rosworld slander cannot stand. Okay. Who would you rather be the punching bag for password on my streams? Roswell or Orlando? Take your pick. It's gotta be one of them, and it's probably gonna be both of them. So what do I need to do?
Alright, fine. Better talk about this now rather than waiting until the bear is up. Or even when the crocodile returns.
Orlando deserves it more. Oh. Cute. That's terrible. Terrible.
We're just gonna let this happen? You want to know what happens if you stay behind, Haas? Sure, it's happened a couple of times. I've had front row seats to every time this has gone down. You're in the, messiest by far.
You know, at least Thanatos, he has a tally of just any time Haas gets popped. Haas stares dumbfounded and starts to shake. Thanatos continues on as if he hadn't noticed.
Chases you down real easy, too. Lets you run for a while, but eventually drags you right back to the foyer and guts you.
Thanatos shook his head, shrugging. Haas, in the meantime, had buried his face in his hands and had started to cover his ears to block Thanatos out.
Real messy. Doesn't care that he ends up with half of you on him and walks out covered in blood.
Thanatos, you should stop.
That's an understatement. Keep going. You think it gets any cleaner for you, Dean? For Dean. Maybe Sal. Can tell you that Jack is a nasty piece of work when he's on a rampage.
Roswell went to say something, but covers his mouth, looking to me startled.
I'll answer your question. Dean ends up a rug, and I think Sal would make a nice pair of shoes if Jack was a bit cleaner with his knife work. Leaves them both for dead, though. You and Dave, though.
No, that's all right. I don't want to know.
You sure?
Let me ask. I want to know what he does to the piggy. Yes, I'm sure. I hurried over to Haas and hugged him, finding myself trembling as he reached out to clutch me tight. I felt sick, and I was sure the others felt the same.
Either way, I'm going to be headed off. I've got things I need to do before Jack arrives.
Like what?
You don't need to worry about that.
Thanatos!
What now?
Are you really going to do something to help?
What do you take me for?
I love this little lad. He's the absolute best. He shrugged and disappeared soon after, just as Sal wandered back from the dining room.
What happened?
You're going to need to help us wake Dean up.
Did something happen?
Nah, it's fine.
Wait, well, of course something did. Haas is crying. What did I miss?
Okay.
Jack, he's going to show up in under an hour. But that's so soon.
Made worse by the fact if Dean's really unconscious, we're going to need to move him.
Right. I'll go wake him up, or drag him out of bed forcefully, but what's the plan?
Hiding in the hedge maze, apparently. That just sounds like an awful plan. Like, right? Yes, let's go hide in a maze in the backyard. Like, no. That sounds terrible. It was then that Roswell had his second coughing fit, and desperately trying to catch his breath.
But hiding is going to be
hard, we know. If I need to be left behind, I understand.
Okay, well, in the meantime, I have tea, but...
He gestures towards the dining room briefly, before looking up to the stairs.
I'm going to retrieve Dean. If we're going to be outside, better drink the tea fast, I suppose.
At least Sal provided a beverage for everyone. That matters, so not Roswell. Dave? Haas? Do you still want tea? Haas quickly nodded, trying to calm himself while I left my gaze drop to the floor. I'm actually going to refill my drink, so I'll be back in a minute, guys. Man, I should really get like an actual like be right back like thing, right? Rather than just using the Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains image I always use, right? How many people recognize that image, actually? Do people just not question that image I always use for, like, some of the thumbnails and things? Or do people go, oh, that's just Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains? Like... Because I'm a bad person, and I like... Do I like that show? I, like, don't even know. I really don't. I don't even know if I like Vrains. I watched the whole thing. Into the Vrains! I feel like that was 2 years of my life that, like, went straight into the shitter. Watching that show weekly for, like, 2 years. Like, 2.5 years. Oh my god. That was so much of my life. Not as big of a waste as Arc 5, but, you know. Haas quickly nodded, trying to calm himself while I just let my gaze drop to the floor. Yeah, I'll be back. I'm okay. Are you sure? No. Look, I don't like the idea that we're in this much danger, all right? That rat has to be lying. For the time being, that's all I've got. Just trying to trick myself into thinking he was lying. Was he, though? He's a robot. I can't be sure. Well, all we can hope for is that we hide in the hedge maze and Jack just comes and goes, right? Sal's getting Dean
And Roswell's coughing. And what about Benson?
I don't know. I just. What choice do we have? We headed outside after Roswell had brought us tea. I didn't drink much of mine, and even after wanting it, Haas barely drank any. The fresh air would have been nice if it wasn't for why we were out here in the to begin with. Wait, what? Remember, Josh, it's not wasting time as long as it has good. Stop. Stop. If you date either Dom or Jack, do you just get them as a pair? Now wait a minute. That sounds like a good deal. A solid prop Dean by the door. Just props? Just is he not awake? Do we just like flop the bear up? Like having lugged him out of bed while still unconscious, yup, he really is still a nappy boy. I looked as though at the very least he had not left Dean in his underwear and managed to put pants on him. Okay, so we're just going to hide, right?
That is correct.
Wait, because he's probably the ugliest character? No. Terrible. He is a cute lad. He is a good cute boy with good fashion. Benson walked out from the back door, looking at each of us in turn.
Thanatos informed me of your plan, and why.
And you believed him?
I'm not a gambling man. So in the end, having you out of the way while I confront Jack is preferable, even if that's what that abomination says.
How he's drawn is disgusting. I don't know. He's a cute, fluffy lad. So?
But should the worst happen,
he pulls out a hunting knife, offering it to Haas. Oh, it's the hunting knife from the his main menu. Oh. Okay.
I believe this might be a tad big, but at least it's something to defend yourself with.
Then came out a large revolver, and he handed it to Sal. Yes.
You and Dean can use this. It'll fit your hands well enough, though with Dean being unconscious, I suppose for the time being it's best with you.
Sal looked uncomfortable as he took it, tucking it into his waistband before going to lift Dean up. What about me or Roswell?
Yes, well, for you I have something a little unconventional, but you'll find a use for it, I'm sure.
And that's when he handed me a... I can get this. No, I can't. How is this pronounced? Pneumatic injector. Nailed it. One I remembered from Oz's lab. Oh, whoops. Yeah. What am I meant to do with this? This only works if like
if you find yourself in close quarters and need to put someone down without killing them, there's a paralytic in there.
Paralytic? Yes. If get rid of the P, but there's a P in the word. There's a P in the word. Why is it there?
Nothing so fatal as a bullet, but enough to sedate someone enough that you should wish to restrain and question them, well.
His eyes went to Roswell with a narrow gaze, before returning back to me.
Or in the event you need to knock Roswell out from a coughing fit, while you hide. How you use it is up to you.
Lit. And that's it?
That's it. Everyone go hide, and I'll retrieve you once things are over. Stay quiet. Stay as deep into the maze as you can.
That was it. He gave us one last look before he headed back inside. Thanatos hadn't said from which direction Jack was kind of going to arrive, or at the very least hadn't told us. We headed over to the hedge maze, Dean still unconscious, and Roswell sluggishly trailing behind me and Haas. Should we head in the middle? Roswell seemed to have already decided, walking past us and into the maze, presumably intending for us to follow. When we arrive at the center, Sal sat Dean down on the bench, and then... I got a little lost for a second. And then sat down on the ground carefully with the gun in his hand. He looked conflicted or at the very least, just very uncomfortable. Roswell had holed up off to the side by the fountain, eyes closed and seemingly trying to keep his breathing under control. Haas, meanwhile, wandered off to the corner and sat down, rocking back and forth quietly as we began our wait. Looking at the injector in my hand, I wondered who Benson assumed I'd be more likely to use it on, but for the time being, it doesn't matter. We hadn't seen or heard Jack, and Roswell wasn't coughing. We just sat and waited, Sal moving to sit next to Dean, but the rest of us staying as we were. Time ticked by, occasionally each of us looking up suddenly whenever we heard a sound. Eventually, we all sat up upon hearing the angry knocking from somewhere else, someone knocking on a door to the house. I went to speak, but a look from Sal cut me short, instead all of us tensing up. The knocking sounded out again, followed by a crash. So far, no yelling gunshots. Yes, that is what that says. Okay. So I took that as a good sign. And none of us dared to move, wondering where Jack might be, or what was happening with Benson. A few minutes later, another crash, something shattered within the house. Then more waiting, minute after minute, with no more sound. How long was it going to take before we could go inside? I had my eyes trained on the entrance to the fountain area we were holed up in case Thanatos came to visit. I knew at the very least that he'd be able to work this far out. I clamped my hand on my mouth soon after, Haas jumping to his feet with his fur on end, just as Dean started to wake up. With a gunshot followed by another, and then the sound of something else breaking. Another gunshot, and the sound of what I guessed was a window shattering nearby, all at once. The silence that followed was different somehow, heavier and more intense, and I was more scared to make a sound after it than any other point in our waiting.
What's happening?
Sal in a flash had his hand across Dean's mouth, urging him to stay quiet, and just from how his eyes were bulging in panic. Thankfully, he seemed to get the message. Haas started to pace, and settled on coming closer to the bench to whisper something into Dean's ear, while Sal still had him muffled. My attention went to Roswell, who he seemed to be half asleep or zoned out, and breathing seemingly labored. It wasn't a coughing fit, but he didn't look okay.
What are you waiting for?
We all jumped when Thanatos spoke, making no effort to be quiet. Is it safe? How did you get out here? Shouldn't we be... My hands went to my mouth again when I realized that I'd spoken, whining out pitifully.
Oh yeah, all the fun is over.
Oh, okay. It was enough to make a couple of us relax, but it was far from being back to normal.
I missed everything. What happened? You always miss it when we get to this point. At least ever since we decided to let you medicate yourself. Keeps things cleaner that way. But what happened? You'll see when you go back inside. Speaking of, can I get carried back? Walking all the way there is going to take forever otherwise. Oh, sure. Yeah, okay. Thanks, buddy. I seem to have moved on to check on Roswell, and I figured I'd do the same. That wasn't a lot of noise. So little noise. What are you talking about? We heard gunshots, and heard stuff breaking. It's not enough. It doesn't tell us anything about what could or could not have happened. The only way to know for certain is to go back to the house. He eased himself up from where he was stilling, but it was clear that he was struggling to keep his balance. But without missing a beat, Haas supported him, much in the same way Sal had been with Dean on our way in. So let's go. Let's find out what happened. The walk back was tense, even with Thanatos riding along on Dean's shoulders. I was thankful that he didn't ride along with me, given how heavy I felt already. Thanatos had come to retrieve us, and I just had to hope that he didn't just lead us right into a trap. The house was cold, and I could smell blood. Thankfully, shortly after smelling it, I could hear familiar footsteps. I see Thanatos has found you. What happened? Where's Jack? He's no longer a problem. No! I made sure to deal with that, personally. You mean he's... We can all smell the blood, right? So that can only mean... Jack is dead. Yes. I just finished storing his body along with his associate when you all walked back in. So that's it? We're out of danger? I wouldn't say that. Memphis is still unaccounted for, and quite rightly, he's a lot harder to deal with. He would not be their boss otherwise. Benson's face went grim immediately after, looking at each of us in turn. Also, I suspect that he may have been up to something else. What do you mean? Excuse me. What'd I do? Okay. I did not greet him at the door, and chose to monitor his movements throughout the house. As expected, he found Dominic fairly quickly. But then went about doing something. That something is? Admittedly, I do not know. But for the brief window of respite we have afforded to us, I suggest we go searching the house. See if we can find out exactly what Jack was up to. And why weren't you paying more attention? Forgive me for waiting to see what information I could glean from him before shooting him the moment he walked in the door. Or are you telling me that after how I dealt with Dominic, you've changed your mind? I mean, Q, he said that he stored them, so I assume they're stored in a room together. I growled, but he seemed to ignore me, turning to the others. Take what time you can to gather yourselves, and let's search the house. Thanks. And if someone could fill me in on exactly what happened, that'd be great. I got a quick summary before, but yeah. And I'd like a shirt at the very least. Yeah, someone else can do that. I'll make some tea. Then join in on the search. Are we searching for anything specific? Rightfully, I do not know. So, if anything seems amiss, it's best to raise it with the group. So, can we just run it by me one more time? Just Just that thing about Jack. That he is dead. And we're sure. Positive. Why? Just more. There's only one more left, right? And that's Orlando's dad.
Benson went to reply before starting to think it over.
I would guess so. Though, we can't be certain if, I do not think Memphis would bring too many goons along given his level of arrogance. And as far as being sure about Jack's death, can we see the body? Executed, like his associate. Well, I guess that's as good as we're going to get unless we see the body. Which you're welcome to do. I've placed, Jack's body with Dominic's. Oh, no, that's alright. I'll take your word for it.
Can I see?
Right. Well, if that's all for now, enjoy the time we have, and unfettered before whatever happens next. I assume we'll find out one way or another.
He pointedly looked at Thanatos before he took Haas towards the kitchen, presumably off to make tea.
I guess I can fill you in, Dean. Thanks. I can only assume it's a good thing if we don't have to worry about Jack anymore, right?
That's one way of putting it, sure.
Not out of the woods yet. Still have Memphis left to deal with.
And you're sure no one else?
If there's anyone else, Memphis has never brought them to the house, for better or worse. Still, what was Jack doing? I would have thought that he'd have started looking around for someone for revenge.
How do we know he wasn't? What am I stepping on? Oh, I'm stepping on that. Okay. That makes a good footrest.
The way Benson framed it, if Jack was looking for someone to kill, I assume Benson more than anyone would be able to tell. True, but that doesn't give us a lot to work with. Unless, of course, we start with the body.
And that's where I'm planning on. Yeah, that's what I'm planning on starting. Any clues we might need will likely be on his body. Otherwise, it'd be guessing. Oh God, I'm slipping. What's your plan for Thanatos?
None of your business.
Oh my God, Dom was the bear hole all along. No. Do you think Dom was Jack's hole? Like his bear hole? I like to think so.
Do you have anything immediately pressing? I would appreciate the help. Looking if you know where to start.
Trust me, if there's something to find, you'll find it without my help, assuming you look at all.
That sounds like there is something to find.
Almost confirms it, but without knowing what we're looking for, we're going potentially be at it for hours, making no headway.
Right. Well, I'm going to fill Dean in on what happened this morning. Shall we meet back up for tea after Dean's gotten his shirt?
With a nod from me to Roswell, Dean started heading upstairs with Sal right behind.
Better take my leave as well. Happy hunting.
You're not going to help us at all?
You don't need help.
Right, well, I'm going to check Jack's body. If no one else is able to stomach it, it's a good place as any to start. No, let me check the body.
Why not go along with him, Dave?
I'm sure your dad had to see a dead body or two, and not as if it's a new thing for you either. I was blindsided by the comment, and watching dumbfounded as he disappeared. I circled through sadness and anger until Roswell placed a hand on my shoulder. Don't let Josh near a dead body. Oh my god. What? I just want to take his vest. It looks comfy. I'd wear a vest like that. Come on, don't worry about him for now. He's just trying to make you upset. Roswell and I wandered down the hall, following Dom's blood trail until we entered the room in which his body had been left. Just now, there was another one alongside it. Benson sure did a number on him, huh? Well, both of them, I guess. I grunted, and Roswell cautiously wandered closer to Jack's body, where it had been left on the ground. All right, let's have a look. Still seeing him gives me the creeps. No surprise there. He did have you at knife point. But now he's dead, and he looks so, Go on. I wouldn't say unthreatening, but it's eerie. Just how he's lying there, as if he'd get back up at any moment. Probably the shock. Roswell pointed to the clear bullet hole in Jack's head. Even if he was a Jaws zombie, no chance of getting back up after being shot in the head. Yeah, Benson seems pretty good at that, when he wants to be. I found myself growling again, thinking about what he did to Tyson. Benson's old, but he's got some skill left in him. Meaning? Well, consider the whole assassin turned butler angle. How many years out of his prime is he? How old is he, anyway? Beats me. But just, he's old enough, right? And clearly hadn't been doing the assassin gig for a while. That we know of. That we know of. True. But still, he was able to take out 2 members of the Mafia and get away unscathed, which, given the intimidately increases our immediately. I'm having a good time. I'm having a great time, an easy time, you know, which, given the immediately increases our chances of survival, I'm all for. I guess. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's check the body. You say I'm in shock, but you're awfully calm about this. Bird brain moment? Stop. Stop, Boo. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It isn't a dead body, Dave. It's just a dead body, Dave. It can't hurt us anymore, unless it has some sort of secret pathogen that gets carried on after death. So it's rigged with explosives and some gross means to hide information. The moment he said it, his eyes widened and shocked, gulping. What, find something? Maybe. I really hope I didn't, but, Roswell started to rummage in a small pack Jack had with him, then his pocket. Then, pausing once more, with something in his hand, he stood up. We have a big problem. Which is? He held up a small device with a screen, a bunch of buttons, and a few letters and a number labeled on each. I have no idea what this is. I don't really know either, but if I had to guess, it's not something good. How not good are we talking? Well, let's see. Roswell looked it over, frowning. It's got an antenna on it, so if the jammer is still active, this thing wouldn't do anything. Check your phone and see if you have it on. I pulled it out of my pocket and saw that I still had no reception. Your expression tells me that you still have no reception. Which, it should be good. Good why? Because if this is what I think it is, then we're lucky that we have this, and not someone that's able to disable the jammer. Well, how can we confirm what it is? I don't really want to go pressing buttons after that. Benson would probably know. Failing that, Haas? Benson maybe, but Haas? Because he has a backstage stuff. He's probably seen something like this, right? If I showed it to him.
He caught himself, shaking his head.
What I mean is that it's not a video game controller. That much is clear. Sorry,
I watched as he stepped away from Jack and fidgeted on the spot, the device in his hands.
How are you holding up with, you know? Oh, sorry. Forget I said anything. I don't really know if I was right to ask, but...
No, it's fine. And the grimace I gave him told him everything. Everything was anything but fine. Can we talk about it later? I don't really want to think about it right now.
Right, of course.
Let's just go find Benson and Haas. As expected, the two of them were drinking tea. Haas still looking a bit rattled, while Benson seemed contemplative about something. How's the tea going? Roswell lingered back, looking back at the device in his hand with a frown. The other two looked up at me as I spoke.
Alright, see ya, Panda.
Yes, but dare I say how the search is going? It's going, probably. Benson looked past me to Roswell, who had continued lingering by the door instead. I see you and Roswell have opted to not actively search. It's not as if we're actively searching either. True enough. Actually, we had something we wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I think I know what this is, but I'm hoping that I'm wrong.
Roswell approached and placed the device down on the counter, stepping away. For a few moments, no one spoke, but the shift to Benson's expression said it all, along with how he set his tea aside. Do you know what this is? No. This is a remote detonator. Wait, what? As in for a bomb?
Damn, I was hoping that's what it wasn't.
Where did you find this?
Jack had it.
And the jammer is still going, if that's helpful. Heavens, if we hadn't found this. Wait, hold on. Just so we're clear. There's a bomb somewhere. Like, actually, kaboom?
Given the road was blown up, it makes sense that this was likely how they managed that without being on the road.
Or more importantly, we know what we might need to be on the lookout for.
What to do?
Roswell scratched his chin, before nodding confidently.
Easy. We ask Thanatos.
Yeah, and that's going to help us?
Give me 1 second. Okay. Let's say there are bombs and we never found them. Thanatos would know that these exists at least one bomb on the premises, if only because he's always present within the house. He'd know if the house had blown up once already, right?
How does the smart character dress as a 4chan mob? Are you talking about Haas? Because Haas definitely goes on 4chan. Yeah, he does. Let's say for a fact that the logic is sound. No, Roswell? No. Roswell's a Redditor. Let's get that out of the way. It's different. It's different. Let's say for a fact the logic is sound. Oh, who's to say that this isn't that very first time we do not find the bomb? Roswell would never survive on 4chan. He'd get confused. But, like, you know Haas goes to A. Like, he reeks of that sometimes. Sometimes he's talking and I'm just like, he's been to A.
He's probably the one that starts the you know what time it is threads. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean.
Semantics.
If this is the first time, then the best we can do is look away, right?
Bigger problem. What are we meant to do once we find them? Go. Oh hey, there's a bomb. Oh boy, it sure is great we found it. I imagine the ideal would be disarming the bomb, but leaving the house is also potentially an option.
Haas also uses TikTok. Oh. He doesn't just use TikTok. Him and Orlando make TikToks. Like, come on. Benson and Roswell looked to each other, then to me.
It sounds like it. Alright, well, how do we know we found what we're looking for? Do we just follow the ticking sound?
Stop, you're ruining them. I'm making it better. Well, if the bombs were set to explode via remote detonation, they're likely just nondescript bundles, maybe a receiver attached. How big?
There's no way to know. Well, if we have to ask the rat, we will. I can't see why we can't just leave, though. We're 2 out of the 3 down, and that should be enough for us to safely go ask for help, right? He has a point.
Roswell seemed to think it over, and I wondered if we had the option to leave after that. On one hand, we had Mensis potentially out there waiting for us, but one person was unlikely to be right in the path between us and the road off the mountain. Is that really okay?
Why wouldn't it be?
If we left before the month is up, if we left before...
Before what?
Nothing. I just need to check something real quick. And he was gone, scurrying away before any of us could say anything else.
Dave.
Yeah?
Go find out what he's doing.
Oh, yeah, easy. Easy.
I suppose it's best to get on with the search then. We may have time. Yeah, we may have more time afforded to us without the risk of this detonator setting off whatever it's tuned to. But I'd rather not be complacent.
Alright, I'll see... If I see the others, or Thanatos, I'll let them know. I was lucky. That's all it was. The moment I stuck my head out of the kitchen, I saw Roswell disappearing down the hall and into the foyer. Then from there, he headed downstairs into the basement. There were only a handful of places he could go, and as I stepped down into the basement, it was clear which way he'd gone. Roswell, why'd you go running? What? He put a finger up to his snoot and turned back to the keypad, putting in something. After a few moments, he sighed and backed away, turning to me. Well, that was a bust. Okay, but what exactly were you checking? If there was any potential, things going on. As in you were expecting a vision like I get. Not exactly. Well, that would work, potentially. I was more talking to Thanatos through it. What do you mean? He stepped aside and gestured to the panel. If we can't find him, we can at least relay information to him like this, right? Assuming he can interpret anything and everything typed in. Roswell makes AMVs? Oh, God. No. Oh. Couldn't you just call out to him and he'd hear? This is him as it is, right? On Bolt clips? Terrible. Is that even still going? Do people like Bolt? I don't know. I don't know. Shaking my head, I call out into the room, looking away from Roswell. Yes, it's still going? Weird. Bolt. Yes. Yes, David. That is what I said. Bolt. his name is Bolt. He's named after Neji. There's like a reason why his name is Bolt. Thanatos, we have a problem, so if you could just show up, that'd be great. Dave, I don't think that's how that works. That's exactly how that works. No. Well, what have we got? What have you discovered? A body has been discovered. Roswell found Jack some... He's keeping his harem protag power sealed. Oh my god. Detonator. Oh. Where... Oh. Don't... It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Where here are we? Well, that's something. Something good or bad? Did Jack actually plant bombs around? Now I see Thanatos as Sasuke, but a rat. He can get there. Instead of tying his Uchiha, look, well, the hidden leaf headband on his head, it's his collar. He wears it like Hinata does. This is this is the new lore. Thanatos looks to Roswell before turning back to me. Did Roswell tell you what he was trying to relay to me yet? No. Oh, no? We don't need to get into that, do we? No, but it'll be funny. What was it? Roswell wanted to know, more importantly, what our timeline is looking at for seeing Memphis. It's a fair question, right? How could, he could be on his way off the mountain. Oh, he is. Probably down by the road. Wait, no, excuse me. What? Seriously? Why would he be out that way? It beats me, but it's just an educated guess. I can't clarify it myself. Then what makes you so sure? It's simple. The times where you discover the bombs and leave, not everyone takes the same route. I watch Memphis walk up in the driveway covered in blood, looking happy with himself. What about those that stay? They don't last much longer. So we hide in the woods then? If you do, I have no way of telling how it goes. You might escape, you might die. I get taken offline before I find out. So we're still trapped. You mentioned bombs, as in plural. How many in total? You expect me to count? Same. You can't just actually count them, though. What do you mean? I think I understand. Say this is the first time we've hit this point. We find a bomb, but there are others. The next time you'd be able to relay that there was at least two. We find two, the explosion still happens. Then we know there's at least three. So initiative testing is your goal. What are the chances it was my goal in past iterations, too? Fair point. Let me check. Though this might take a few minutes. As Thanatos seems to do something, I wander over to the keypad again. Maybe there was something I could type in here that helped things along so much, like Roswell. I figured I'd try. Explosions, bombs, Memphis, but nothing. Looking over my shoulder, it seems as though Thanatos wasn't paying me any mind, but I closed my eyes to think it over. How many bombs are there? How many bombs could Jack have placed? Why? All right,
I have your answer.
How many?
3. Find 3 and no additional explosions seem to go off.
So they can go off without without the detonator?
That changes things. But if you want a safe number to aim for, go for 3.
And there are...
Beats me. Just be careful. Be thankful that you still have the means to disarm them.
So what? We go find them?
Or stick around and see if they blow up, if you get started. Now, you should find them before too long.
Before we do, I have a question.
Oh yeah?
For Thanatos.
What?
How long do we have until the next problem?
Depends on what you mean by problem.
I suppose Memphis?
That also depends.
On what?
On who goes out to meet him tomorrow. But you can worry about that after you've found the bombs.
So we should get looking for them.
Happy hunting. I'm going to be waiting for you. I'm going to be waiting for you all to be done. If someone could give me a lift to the foyer, that'd be very appreciated.
Roswell knelt down. Down, and Thanatos scurried up his shoulder. All 3 of us headed upstairs. All right, I guess I'll go find Dean and Sal.
We're here already. What have you 3 been up to?
Just grabbed Roswell from downstairs. We've found something. Thanatos is helping, kind of. Oh, we're making progress, guys.
Oh well, that's good news.
Depends on how you like bombs.
Bombs? There are bombs now? How many?
Why is that your first question?
2 reasons. The first is we know how many there are. We know how much danger we're in. The second is, well, how much time we have.
Well, I'm sorry.
To be clear, are there actually bombs in the house?
According to Thanatos, yeah.
Alright, so how many? I don't think you understand the severity of the situation, Dean. Call me desensitized, then.
Explain.
My ex made a bomb once, as a school project.
Don't say "oh," as if that explains everything.
As long as it's not, nothing complicated, we're probably going to be alright.
Based on?
What limited experience I have with it, chances are I, won't be able to do much, but we should find these things, right?
God damn it, Rami, right? You're very calm about this.
Well, it's not as if, you're asking me to do anything with them either, right? Right, of course.
Thanatos did say that we still had the means to disarm them. I've laughed at a lot this stream. Oh, good. I hope it's not at me. I hope it's the game being funny. All 3 of us looked over to Thanatos, who seemed to be watching us, not me. Okay. Who seemed to be watching us with a gleeful glint in his eyes.
I don't really want to take the responsibility of disarming them, if that's, what's being implied.
We have Benson, I guess, so maybe he knows.
But this is all based on the assumption that we find them, which we should do rather than later, yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'll pass the word to Benson and Haas then. Alright, let's get started looking in the meantime. Where do we start? I think of anywhere Jack realistically could go before being before Benson got to him, so assume this floor for now. It's a good place to start as any. Should we split up or stick together?
Splitting up, maybe.
We'd cover more ground, that's for sure. Then sure, if Thanatos is going to be staying here, let's split up and see what we can find. We split off, and I start to check the first room I wandered into. If I were a bomb, where would I hide? What would I look like? Without a ticking sound, I had no idea what if anything, I could be keeping an eye out for. The second room looked much the same. I checked under the cushions, hide behind the door, open up any drawers and cabinets just in case something had been quickly stashed inside, but nothing seemed to be out of place. The third room I avoided going into, though upon hearing someone rummaging in one of the other ones nearby. Oh, you're checking this room again? Looking down at the floor, I could see the blood smear where Dom had been dragged.
Yeah, I figured this was the place Jack started when he walked in the house. He might have done something here.
Did you find anything?
Nothing in this room itself, but...
He gestured to the two bodies in the room, and I groaned. You're going to check their pockets?
I'm going to check everywhere I can if I need to. Just to be sure.
But they're bodies.
Which is exactly why it's worth checking.
He definitely shoved a bomb up the bear hole. Jack would do that. Roswell started to pat down Jack, following up with doing the same to Dominic. Roswell, how can you be so... What I mean is...
The dead can't hurt us, Dave. They could have hurt us while alive. And their actions while alive could affect us. Long after they're dead. But once they're dead, that's it.
He groaned, shaking his head. You don't think Jack
would have stashed something in Dominant's pants, do you?
Roswell, what the hell?
I'm just throwing the idea out there. I don't know how well endowed he'd be otherwise, given
I followed his hand, pointing to the sizable lump that seemed to be out of place.
I don't know. Well, if we're looking at the last place we'd be willing to look.
He moved just as I looked away, slightly embarrassed, looking back only after I heard the rustling.
Well?
Nothing, I just found it!
Oh my god.
I love Jack. Jack is so good. Jack is the best. He held both hands in a bubble. He held in both hands a small bundle wrapped in bright orange and wires connecting it from it into a smaller device strapped to the side. So this is,
based on the writing, it's C4.
Like from video games?
I suppose so, but they exist in the real world too.
So we're just looking for 2 more of these. That seems easy enough.
That's the hard part, is to disarm them. Maybe someone else could have, will have an idea, but for now, let's just... Wait, we're at least aware of what we're looking for.
It's not going to go off without us carrying it around, is it?
If I remember... From what I remember of C4, probably not. It's not a demolitions... I'm not a demolitions expert, so I'll leave that up for someone else. For now, I'm going to put it somewhere central nearby, so we don't lose track of it.
Such as where?
I imagine the foyer.
Alright, well, I'll keep looking. If I find any of the others, I'll bring them to the foyer, I guess.
If you don't feel comfortable moving them, that's fine. Just remember where they are, and someone can move them, or we can disarm them where we find them. Either way.
I left Roswell and split off towards the kitchen, 1 down and 2 to go. Sal was there, searching the pantry, and from the looks of things, he'd been carefully taking everything from the shelves and neatly setting them on the counter. Is the search going well? It's going.
Guessing you haven't seen Dean. I haven't thought... I would have thought I'd have found Hoss or Benson here.
They're searching the basement. And the hidden passage, I guess.
Roswell found one already. So at least we're making progress.
Okay.
I watched for a few moments as he continued to remove things from the pantries before I started checking various drawers and in cabinets.
Have you been thinking about what Jack might have done?
I've been both thinking about it and trying not to think about it. My orange. Okay.
Because.
On one hand, I don't think he's, I don't like thinking about him. Even if he is dead. Obviously, thinking about what he might have done would help us find the bombs, but I guess it's the why I'm confused about.
I don't follow.
So he blew up the road to trap us here, right?
I think that's a safe assumption.
But why did he have more bombs on him? Why did he plant them around the house?
If I had to guess, it was not the original plan. I imagine they would have made a plan for us to clear out by threatening to blow up the place. But after finding Dominic dead, Jack maybe went off script.
Well, great.
Still, at least we know, even if,
we're finding bombs?
Honestly, the prospect of finding something is unsettling. I'm searching more in hopes of not finding something.
Which is why you're searching the pantry?
I started with the oven, assuming that it'd be a dangerous place to rig an explosive. Exploding an active gas line sounds like a pretty bad for us.
Oh, so in that case, it's probably better to search dangerous areas. Couldn't Dave sniff them out? Does it smell? Do those things give off smell?
If it was just a wanton act of throwing bombs around, they could be anywhere. But he was being smart. He'd have absolutely placed it in the basement.
Sal shook his head.
Think of it this way. If you were in Jack's shoes, you had just found someone that you liked had been killed by a bunch of strangers. And you had...
Someone that he liked. See? I see.
And you had a bunch of bombs on you. What would you do?
I think I understand.
I'm not saying you're the kind of person to want to lay waste to a whole house of innocent people, mind you.
No, it's not that. I think I understand that. How we've gotten here.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome to help me search the kitchen some more, but given how much is left.
I'll check the freezer, and if there's nothing, I suppose continue on to continue to see where the others are. Maybe someone else has already found one. Much as I had hoped, I'd find another bomb so easily. As Roswell found the first one, there wasn't anything in the freezer. I had gotten what was in there, the top there too, up until I opened the door, and I wish that I hadn't offered. Thankfully, the bags that Orlando and Tyson were in were undisturbed from the frost that still sat on the surface. In fact, from the shelves and the frost, I could tell no one had been in here recently. I took that as more than enough of an excuse to move on.
It'll be fine. Easy for you to say. You're not the one disarming this.
What's going on? Dean was sitting on the ground in front of the stairs, a bomb sitting in front of him.
Dean's disarming the bomb Roswell found. Trying to, anyway.
Not trying, more like. He's just sitting there. It's not going to go off, Is it?
Not likely.
And you're sure about that?
Didn't even need me to confirm it. Tell me. C4 is pretty stable. Only goes off if there's another explosion. Or something like a blast cap is set off in its chemical reaction. 10 points to Dean.
Okay.
Thanks.
But you know how to disarm it. Are you sure it's safe to even be messing with it?
Thanatos has said it's me or no one. I'm just thankful Rami went on a tangent once about the explosions. Not as if we were, not as if we use explosives in the lumber business anyway.
And that's enough to disarm a bomb.
Apparently.
Look, it's not a rocket science. You know what the parts look like, so get cracking.
And I'm meant to do this with my bare hands.
I snicker. Though only for a moment. Bare hands. Okay.
Okay, but really, some tools would be nice.
So Remy made bombs in school, got beat up by a bunch of dudes, then decided to join the mafia. Probably. That sounds about right.
You don't need them. Just rip the blasting cap off.
What if it goes off, though?
It won't. And you're sure?
Yes.
Get on with it. Follow the wire and rip the thing out.
Dean closes his eyes, breathing in deep, and did as Thanatos said. The wires snapping, and as he pulled a small tube free from the wrapped bundle, I looked between him and the tube, watching as he slowly opened his eyes.
Are you done yet? That's it. It's over. That's the first one, yeah.
That seems pretty easy. If that's all it takes, I think I could do that.
I wouldn't recommend it. The important part is making sure those wires snap. You don't want to leave those intact, as that's still a live explosion in that tube.
Upon hearing that, Dean quickly drops the tube, and I yelp, thinking it was going to explode.
Also, don't do that. The shockwave could still set it off.
Maybe not for this one, but for the others. Speaking of, we probably should find the others. Sal's already checking the kitchen. No idea where Roswell went.
Yeah, I'm going to find a place for the blast cap. I guess I'm going to wait here for the next one.
There you go, Dave. There you go. Dave, might I recommend checking downstairs next time? There's one downstairs? Let's just say that's the next place you need to go. I'll keep Dean company until he stops shaking.
Better get going. Don't want to be left with one bomb unaccounted for, huh?
Right, yeah. Hopefully I'll be back soon with good news. Alright. I'm actually thinking of ending it here for today. I've been reading for a while. So I think that's fair. I don't know how much is left. Hopefully we finish it next time we stream. And hopefully also start Path G. I don't know how much of a difference, there is between F and G. I don't know. I guess we'll find out, though. But until then, I'll see you guys around.